From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story: as the price of oil continues to drop, many continue to wonder how it will impact the state's economy and the permanent fund.
Today at the weekly Chamber of Commerce luncheon, officials from an economics group and the World Trade Center Alaskan Division told the audience that although the state was certainly headed toward a recession, it was a scene that has been experienced in the past. The speaker stated that many factors have indicated Alaska would be able to ride out the turbulent times ahead. He also wanted to clear up rumors about the decline of oil affecting the permanent fund.
In the short run, the decline in oil prices doesn't affect the permanent fund at all. Your permanent fund dividend check is determined every year by the earnings of the permanent fund. And so right now, those earnings will come along based on the performance of the investments in the permanent fund, and the corporation will determine how much money it can transfer to the state.
Now, Mr. King says that based on the stock market, he feels confident that this year's permanent fund will be larger than last year's.
A 25-year-old Fairbanks man accused of intentionally hitting a woman with a car is facing felony charges. Alexander Jura is named in an indictment handed down by a Fairbanks grand jury, charging him with first-degree assault and leaving the scene of an accident. Jura is accused of backing over the woman, then pulling forward and intentionally hitting her with the car again last December. Warrants that were originally issued carried a bail of $30,000 for Jura.
The North Pole City Council advanced a pair of marijuana-related ordinances last night. Both will go to a final vote at the council's February 17th meeting. Ordinance 1501 prohibits the flammable extraction of hash oil from marijuana within city limits. An early December house fire in North Pole was the result of such a process. Violators could face a fine of up to $1,500. It advanced unopposed. Now, Ordinance 1502 passed with some resistance from Councilman Thomas McGee. 1502 prohibits the use of marijuana in over 16 areas within the city defined as public places by the ordinance. Violators would face a $100 fine. The list includes parking areas, places of business, and apartment complex lobbies. McGee offered an amendment to define public places as those built and maintained with city funds. The amendment did not gain traction and failed 5-2. The ordinance then advanced 6-1, with McGee casting the lone no vote.
I really don't understand what people are afraid of. In 2013, over 43,000 people died of unintentional deaths from prescribed medication. In 2013, 0 died from marijuana. What are you afraid of? And why are you trying to make regulations where the voters have spoken and let them have their way?
My interpretation of the ballot measure is that it is intended for marijuana use in your home, and I intend to uphold that. So it's not a fear of marijuana.
The state makes marijuana legal in a few weeks, but that doesn't mean it's legal under federal law. And for those planning on a business in cannabis industry, getting a bank loan or an account may be just a pipe dream. Federally regulated banks and other financial institutions are refusing to make any investments in cannabis-related activities. At a recent meeting on Alaska marijuana legislation, Wells Fargo Vice President Jennifer Imus shared that even if you have an existing loan on a building and your tenant starts selling marijuana, the banks have to step in. President of Denali State Bank, Steve Lundgren, says banks can't loan money or open accounts with someone in the drug business without being subject to federal regulatory fines and actions. Now, until the federal law changes, banks will avoid collateral loss. It forces cannabis farmers, pot shop owners, and others in the trade to fund their ventures with cash or capital. Lundgren wonders how the state will impose licensing and fees for those dealing with cash.
Those fees typically are paid from checking accounts. A business will write a check, or those funds will be electronically transferred from their bank of account. If a marijuana business doesn't have a bank of account, doesn't have checks, it's going to be hard for them to pay their state fees.
Okay, when we come back, Alaskan Senator Dan Sullivan, along with other senators, are working to improve mental health care for military members.
Also, in our health report, adults need to make sure they are up to date with their immunizations. We'll tell you why. Stay with us.
Welcome back. A Fairbanks man accused of attempted murder in a burglary was back in court yet again this afternoon, this time facing more charges. Levi Ratinsky pleaded not guilty to 5 additional counts of burglary and theft after being indicted last month. Rutinsky, who was released for a short time on bail, now faces a total of 29 charges. Rutinsky's charges stem from a Chena Hot Springs Road burglary. Charging documents say after allegedly burglarizing the residence, Rutinsky returned to the property with a stolen gun, threatened to shoot one of the men present, and actually pulled the trigger, but the gun misfired. All of the new charges result from other alleged victims of Rutinsky. Trial for his case is set for April.
A North Pole man who ran from custody was arraigned this afternoon in Fairbanks Superior Court. Alaska State Troopers were able to catch 23-year-old Logan Austin late last week. He was listed as a dangerous fugitive. Austin now remains in jail on more than $20,000 bail, plus the condition of a court-appointed third-party custodian. Now, Austin has 6 separate cases pending. His charges vary from vehicle theft to first-degree misconduct involving a controlled substance. Trial for his case was set for April.
Trial was set this afternoon for a man accused of burglarizing the home of a vacationing couple. 24-year-old Ethan Damon faces 5 charges, including first-degree burglary. Today, Damon pleaded not guilty to those charges. An affidavit says the couple came home and found a man in their garage wearing a face mask and heavy coat. A rock had been thrown through the window, and items including jewelry, electronics, and credit cards were taken. A note left inside the home read, "I'm sorry, if I can, I will pay you back someday." Troopers identified Damon walking near the home with the stolen items in his pockets. A Superior Court judge set his trial for April.
The U.S. Senate has approved the Clay Hunt Suicide Prevention for American Veterans Act. Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan was a co-sponsor of the measure, which is intended to improve mental health care and suicide prevention resources for American servicemen and women. He pointed out while Alaska boasts the highest number of veterans per capita in America, it also has the highest rate of suicide. Sullivan said when he was in the military, suicide was an issue that he saw up close and personal.
As an officer in the Marine Corps, both on active duty and in the reserves, I've personally witnessed the struggles, at times tragic, that some of our servicemen and women undergo. The suicide of a young Alaskan Marine under my command still haunts me. You always wonder, could I have done more?
When it comes to immunizations, kids typically come to mind, but adults need them too. Monty Bowen has more now in this week's Health Report.
Today, the American College of Physicians and the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention released the updated list of immunizations recommended for all adults. Topping the list are the pneumonia vaccine for those aged 65 and older. Doctors say the immune systems of people ages 65 and up are on the decline, so they may need a little extra protection against pneumonia. In fact, researchers say about 1/3 of all pneumonia cases develop in elderly people.
Those people are at increased risk for infection in general, especially pneumonia, and those are the people who we really make extra efforts to make sure that they're getting vaccinated properly.
The updated schedule also includes recommendations for adults 19 years old and older. There are updated guidelines on tetanus, HPV, measles, mumps, and rubella. There's also a footnote on flu shots.
My recommendation, and certainly the recommendation of doctors across the United States, would be to continue to get your flu shot, especially if you work in a high-risk situation around children, around elderly, in a healthcare setting.
The complete list of immunizations recommended for adults can be found online in the journal Annals of Internal Medicine for the CDC. This is Monty Bowen reporting.
The Health Report is brought to you by the Ear, Nose, and Throat Clinic, located in the Medical Dental Arts Building. Call 456-7768.
All right, Joe Cook is next with the Nana Corner, and the hockey team will be back in action this weekend.
Also, more results from a busy weekend of local sports. Joe's next. Stay with him.
Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook here in the sports seat for you this Tuesday evening with your local sports. In today's Nana Corner, we catch up with the UAF hockey team. They'll be back in action this weekend after a bye week. Here's more. The Nanook hockey team comes out of their bye week refreshed and focused on ending a 0-5-1 streak in their last 6 outings. They host the Lake Superior State Lakers this weekend. This is the last full month of hockey for the Nooks and one of their last 2 home series.
It was a good week for us, I think, just to reset mentally, and I thought the guys have done a good job. They've come back this week heading into Lake Superior with some good enthusiasm, some good energy, and do what you do and do it good and better than the other team. Everybody taking some ownership in it, some accountability, and we're looking forward here to these next 2 weekends as far as our last opportunity to play in front of our fans, and obviously to get some wins here and head onto the road with a good feeling.
The Lakers are trending upward, winning 3 of their last 5 games, including a win at number 8 Bowling Green last week. 6 former Ice Dogs will be in this series, 3 with the Lakers and 3 with the Nanooks. Former Ice Dog Taylor Munson knows that reuniting with old teammates is all well and good, but his Nanooks need a win.
They're playing well. I think we're both pretty evenly matched. We just got to come in and outwork them in our own barn here. We're playing at the Carlson Center. It's going to be packed, so we just got to make sure we come out with some energy and take it to them all weekend.
UAF is ready to put what they learned over the break and the season and put it into use. One of those things is playing a full 60-minute game.
Last few weekends, as you guys saw, third period we kind of collapsed and didn't have the best period, so we got to play full 60 in order to win.
The Nanooks will have their last cookie social and skate with the Nanook session after Saturday night's game. Puck drop for Game 1 is Friday night at 7:07 at the Carlson Center.
Nanook Corner, brought to you by Sports Medicine Fairbanks.
The Alaska women's basketball team suffered their 5th straight loss on Saturday at Central Washington. They never trailed in a 71-50 win. It's UAF's longest losing streak of the season. Stephanie Tombstone, she led Alaska with 13 points and 5 rebounds. UAF is 12-9 and 4-7 in the GNAC, and they are a half game behind Western Oregon for 6th place in the conference. They will host Western Oregon this Thursday. The men's team lost their 7th straight game, dropping a GNAC contest 57-80 to Western Washington. UAF's Ashton Edwards and Almir Hadjisevich both scored 13 points apiece. The men will head to the Alaska Airlines Center to take on the rival Seawolves this Saturday. Transition buckets and hot shooting was the winning combination for the Hutchinson Hawks boys team on Saturday night. Hutch defeated Galena 74-60 after losing by 1, 63-64 to Galena on Friday. The Hutch backcourt of Daniel Page and Spencer Johnson, they set the tone. Page scored 10 of the Hawks' first 12 points. They both had 12 points apiece in the first half. Hutch was up 34-24 at halftime. Hutchinson's largest lead was 42-24, but Galena, they crept back in the game, cutting their deficit to 11 in the 4th quarter on a Jacob Miller 3. Miller led the Hawks with 18, while Evan Buchanan, he finished with 17 points. Hutch would respond by getting up and down the floor after Galena scores quickly to answer their rallies. In the win, Johnston scored a game-high 19 points, while Page added 18. The Hawks play Monroe tonight.
Well, we noticed that they ran the tempo last game, and so we were just basically, we were like, we're not going to let them run the tempo. We didn't think they could run with us, so we decided let's just push the ball up the sideline and put the ball in the basket as fast as possible. Our team confidence is very, very high right now, and we're all meshing as a team, and we've been together for so many years. Most of us more than 4 years, so our confidence is extremely high right now.
And the Hutchinson Hawks girls team, they won 46-44 on Friday night on an Ellie VZ buzzer beater against the Galena Hawks. Saturday night's rematch will not have any late game heroics from Hutch as they lose 30-34. Offense was hard to produce as both teams played well defensively. Galena led 26-20 going to the 4th quarter. VZ, Katie Harper, and Cece Cota Sanchez, they combined for a 7-0 run to start the 4th quarter, and they gained a 27-26 lead. But Galena's Rome Harris scored her team's final 8 points to seal the win. Harris finished with a game-high 18 points. VZ had 14 to lead Hutchinson. Saturday, the Monroe Rams regrouped after a 2-4 loss to Juneau on Friday night in non-conference hockey series. The Rams won 6-3 to close out their regular season with the win. Monroe finished 14-4 overall, and they will be the 2 seed in the Greatland Conference playoffs. Delta Junction, they clinched the regular season title and the number 1 seed with a 7-3 victory over Hutchinson on Friday night. The Greatland Conference playoffs begins on Friday, and the Houston's Hawks are this year's host. That's going to be in Big Lake. The Mid-Alaska Hockey Playoffs will also be on Friday for the first round. That will be at the Patty Center. And that'll do it for sports tonight. Mike Schultz is next with your 4-Weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Fairbanks Evening News for a Tuesday night. Mike Schultz with you once again talking about the weather, and we're going to talk about cold temperatures. Folks, it's going to get cold again. We're looking at possibly near 40 degrees this weekend, below zero. So start making your preparations, get your cars in good shape, make sure the kids have got plenty of the right clothing and your animals are inside. And it's going to last until at least Monday, the way it looks right now. We'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. Our photograph tonight, you got to go all the way down here to see Mount McKinley in the distance. This is sent in by Ron Plummer. A nice sunset. But again, if you have a photo you want to share, by all means, send it to photos@ktvf11.com. What do the numbers look like? 11 degrees below zero after a high of 10 below. The low last night, 28 degrees below zero. Record high 39 in 1941. Record low 58 below in 1947. Sunrise this morning almost at 9:30, and the sunset at 4:45 this afternoon, giving us 7 hours and 17 minutes daylight. That's a gain of 7 minutes from yesterday. And our satellite and radar showing the state clearing out basically of all clouds. Everything moving off to the east because high pressure is building in and pushing all the clouds away. That high pressure is also helping bring a lot of cold air in from the polar north. That's where we're getting cold temperatures. What's going on across the rest of the state? Well, a little rain and snow activity around Ketchikan, clear skies at Juneau, all the way over to the Anchorage Bowl, right on down to Kodiak Island and Cold Bay, up and down the west coast. It's all going to be this way for the next few days. Clear skies, maybe a few clouds up on the north slope, 16 below at Barrow, and 22 below at Fort Yukon. Lower 48 weather, once again, more rain falling across the Pacific Northwest, and that's going to continue with a new storm system moving in. While the other folks are clearing out across the central and northern plains, more rain falling across the deep south and over the northeast. On the satellite and radar, you can see again the frozen precipitation indicated by the pink color. Down to the south, it is red and green, or I should say green and yellow. And then out to the west, again, more rain moving ashore. And this rain is moving all the way down the coastline, expected to bring with it very heavy rainfall totals. You see 4 to 5 inches around parts of northern California, then down around the San Francisco Bay Area, 2 to 3 inches. And they need the rainfall. They've been going through a drought situation, so it's kind of a blessing in disguise. On the jet stream, once again, the arrow indicating the cold air being pulled across the northeast. More snow on the horizon for those folks, not good news. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow in the northern section. Sunny skies at Barrow, scattered clouds at Nome, and also at Fort Yukon. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at high clouds for Fairbanks, Healy, and Delta Junction. While over the southeast, once again, a mixed bag. Increasing clouds for Juneau, a chance of mixed rain and snow for Ketchikan. Over to the southwest part of the state, it looks like Cold Bay will see rain, sunshine at Bethel, and cloudy skies at Kodiak. And if you're heading on down to the Anchorage area, we're looking at, for the most part, sunny skies across the region with morning fog in Anchorage and Homer. Okay, time once again for our kids' weather. And all this week, we're going to be talking with the kids from University Park Elementary School. Tonight, here's a young lady with a picture to share.
My name is Angel. I'm in Miss Heine's 3rd grade class. I drew this picture because I enjoy rain, and it's my favorite thing to do outside when it's raining.
Angel, you're not going to see any rainfall till about April, the way it looks right now. Thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. And tomorrow night, we'll have a young man here with a very interesting question. Here's your forecast for the remainder of the night. 27 degrees below zero, scattered high clouds, quite a bit colder than last night. Tomorrow's forecast starting off at 9 degrees below zero and then dropping like a rock as that cold air starts moving in. And there's the bad news on the 5-day outlook. Temperatures near 40 below by Saturday and Sunday night. Then a little bit of a reprieve as somewhat warmer air starts working its way back in by Monday. Still very, very cold, and ice fog is very likely this weekend. So this weekend might be a good weekend to stay inside and watch videos or do something with the kids or something. But because not going outside, it's going to be too cold.
Wow.
Wish I had better news, but forewarned is at least prepared, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, I just really, I got 500 gallons of fuel in the fall or in October. And it's been so warm that I don't know where we stand on our fuel. But now that we're getting colder, I'm afraid I'm going to run out.
You better check it out just to be safe.
You better dip that tank.
So much for skiing. That's all I have to say.
Oh,
Joe,
no, you don't want to ski. You'll be gone.
Joe, we got to get you on the slopes, though, when it warms up.
Maybe so.
You've been avoiding it for a while.
I have. I haven't skied since I was like a Yeah,
it's
I had to be
like
like
riding
10
a
years
bike,
old.
except
Maybe late April.
I'll make sure to bring a
March.
GoPro so I can video you.
it's like riding a bike, Joe.
That would-
Except in this
that would be
case, it's big
terrible.
wooden things you put on your feet.
Yeah, I think if I remember, I didn't know how to stop. I could go, but like
Well, that's
stopping-
very important.
Stopping.
Yeah, the hard part's
problem.
That's a very important
You
part.
only have to stop once. That's true. All
I
right.
just crash into people.
All right, thanks, guys. That will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We are glad you could join us.
Tonight on NBC Nightly News, millions of Americans are bracing for freezing and bitter cold temperatures with no let-up in sight. Welcome to our world, right?
Yeah.
That's up next with Brian Williams.
They better just buck up because we do it up here. They
That's
can do
right.
it.
We're tough.
All right, well, join us here 6 days a week at 6 and 11 or online anytime, of course, at webcenter11.com.
From all of us here at the News Center, have a good night. Stay warm, get warm.
Sports.